Here is the story rewritten in English with completely different wording and phrasing throughout, while preserving the exact same structure, sequence of events, meaning, tone, and length, approximately the same word count and paragraph flow. No parts have been cut or added. I told her in a steady voice, without any rage or possessiveness, but with absolute conviction. If you attend that gathering, this marriage ends right here. I anticipated some inquiry, perhaps a moment of hesitation, or at least some thought. But she just chuckled. She dismissed me with an eye roll and ridiculed the idea, claiming she craved liberty, and that I was attempting to dominate her. That term, liberty, carried far more weight than she seemed to grasp. In her mind, it signified acting on every impulse with zero repercussions. She got ready with bold assurance, certain I'd relent as I had so many times in the past. When she stepped out the door, she gave a smug grin, fully anticipating texts, calls, or pleas from me. I sent nothing. I remained seated in silence as the door shut, sensing an unfamiliar sensation take root inside me. Not fury, not dread, but a profound sense of release, since the doubt had finally vanished. She viewed the event as her bold statement of autonomy. What escaped her was that it also marked a permanent choice, one that would alter our lives forever. The breakdown in our relationship hadn't appeared out of nowhere. It had been quietly deteriorating for months because of disregarded limits and compromises that only went one way. Whenever I voiced my unease, she labeled it as my own lack of confidence. Any worry turned into a debate over her right to independence. I began saying less, trusting that my behavior would speak louder than arguments. That final statement wasn't rash. It was the last line I could establish before completely sacrificing my own sense of self. When she stepped over it so lightly, a resolve hardened within me. Such firm declarations aren't exercises in dominance. They bring sharp understanding. And understanding can be terrifying once it strips away false comfort. That evening, I didn't dwell on what might be happening at the gathering. I refused to torment myself with imagined scenarios. I simply acknowledged the path she selected. Acknowledgement is silent yet unyielding. Tranquility replaced the constant worry, and tranquility poses a real threat to those who depend on emotional turmoil to maintain their grip. As she got herself ready for the night out, I quietly prepared for an entirely different outcome. Not vengeance, not theatrics, but closure. I collected necessary papers, protected finances, and handled matters I delayed due to lingering optimism. I didn't hurry or lose composure. I proceeded methodically, like someone gently shutting a door rather than forcing it closed. My phone remained untouched, and I was aware she counted on me crumbling first. She anticipated desperate messages, frantic attempts to change her mind, or heated outbursts. Instead, I held steady. Quiet composure disturbs others far more deeply than any outburst. I wasn't hoping for her to stumble or face humiliation. I had already stopped bargaining over my own value. That difference is crucial. When a person assumes there's still room to maneuver, they behave recklessly. When they grasp that the window has closed, sudden alarm sets in. She hadn't arrived at that point yet, but it was approaching fast. At the gathering, things seemed ordinary initially. Music, chatter, admiration. She shared cheerful pictures online, reassuring herself of her liberation. Then a change occurred. She became aware of my complete absence. No outreach, no messages, no sign whatsoever. People inquired about my whereabouts. She brushed it aside with a laugh, yet discomfort began to settle in. This quiet felt unlike before. Not furious quiet, definitive quiet. Then came the alert. A straightforward, official email subject appeared. No drama, no ultimatums, simply facts. Her expression fell away in an instant. The surrounding talk faded as realization hit. Liberty abruptly carried a steep price. The night didn't conclude with a scene or disgrace. It concluded with stark awareness, and awareness arrives uninvited. In that instant, she understood the statement hadn't been exaggerated. It had been precise. Others later mentioned she grew subdued, departed sooner than planned, and struggled to articulate the reason. Her assurance melted into bewilderment. She attempted to call, went directly to voicemail. She sent messages. No reply. Mockery no longer shielded her. Liberation no longer felt liberating. It felt precarious. All the while, I rested deeply. Rest feels foreign after years of persistent strain. I wasn't reveling in her distress. I wasn't monitoring the situation. I was simply at ease. That realization unsettled her the most. Not merely that I carried out the consequence, but that I did so without turmoil. When a person comprehends you were entirely serious, their foundation trembles. Limits don't shout. They shift. And decisive steps leave almost no opening for excuses, bargaining, or reframing what happened. When she finally contacted me the following day, her tone lacked any scorn. It was cautious. She requested a conversation. I consented, keeping it short. She attempted justification, describing the event as innocent and my statement as overblown. I heard her out without cutting in. Then I gently pointed out that liberty includes liberty from our connection. She had selected that direction. Composure doesn't debate revised narratives. It simply acknowledges decisions. She wondered if repair was still possible. I replied truthfully that limits dismissed with ridicule aren't mended through remorse. Remorse follows results, never precedes them. Our exchange didn't close with yelling or accusations. It closed with quiet, the sort that solidifies truth rather than evading it. In the time afterward, my days felt unburdened. Free from ongoing strain, my mind sharpened. I came to see how frequently I'd mistaken persistence for affection. Affection lacking mutual regard gradually wears away. Departing didn't render me harsh, it rendered me authentic. Acquaintances observed the shift. I offered little detail. Serenity requires no justification. She, on the other hand, had to confront the price of a decision she regarded as merely gestures, not irreversible. The gathering itself didn't ruin the marriage. Her dismissal of the warning did. Honest limits aren't domination. They're opportunities to decide thoughtfully, and she decided while ignoring them. She attended believing liberty came without cost. She scoffed at the notion that anything could genuinely conclude. What ensued involved no outbursts or public exposure. It involved quiet resolve, follow-through, and truth arriving sooner than anticipated. That evening dismantled the notion that limits could be ignored. I didn't seek to penalize her. I honored my own dignity. Often the most powerful reply isn't fury. It's consistency. When someone belittles your standards, take them at their word, then respond in kind. Liberty applies equally in both directions.